Have you ever wondered if you're attractive? But not in the shallow sense of beauty standards, expensive clothes, or magazine looks? Sometimes the most magnetic people are the ones who don't even realize their own charm. Carl Jung's insights into personality and human psychology can help us understand why attraction is so much more than physical appearance. In fact, many signs of true attractiveness are subtle, psychological, and often go unnoticed, especially by the person who has them. So today, let's explore 12 signs that you are attractive, even if you don't believe it. And as we go through these, I encourage you to reflect. Do you recognize these qualities in yourself? You might discover that you've been more appealing and magnetic than you ever gave yourself credit for. Sign number 1. People remember you more than you expect. Have you ever bumped into someone who remembered a small detail about you, even though you barely recall the conversation? That's a sign of attractiveness. When you leave an impression, even unintentionally, it means something about your presence lingers in the minds of others. Think about it. Attractive people aren't just seen, they're remembered. Their personality, energy, or way of speaking plants a seed in someone's memory. Everyday example. You might share a simple joke at work, and weeks later, someone repeats it back to you, laughing. You forgot about it, but they didn't. That staying power means you left the mark. From a Jungian perspective, this connects to what he called the persona, the mask or role we present to the world. If your persona resonates authentically with others, they remember you because you appear genuine, not artificial. Sign number 2. People often copy your behavior. Have you noticed someone picking up your phrases, mimicking your gestures, or adopting your style? This isn't just coincidence. Psychology shows that mirroring is a subconscious sign of admiration and attraction. When people find you appealing, they unconsciously imitate you. It's their way of building rapport and feeling closer to you. Example, you say, "That's hilarious." And a week later, your friend uses the exact same phrase in the same tone. Or maybe you start wearing a certain accessory, and suddenly, people around you do the same. At its core, attraction is not only about looks, it's about influence. If you subtly influence others, it's because something about you draws them in. Sign number 3. Strangers make eye contact with you. Here's a subtle but powerful sign. People's eyes are drawn to you. You might not even notice it because it happens so quickly. On the subway, walking down the street, or sitting in a cafe. Strangers glance at you, sometimes even twice. Eye contact is one of the oldest and most primal forms of connection. We're wired to look at what attracts us. Now, does this mean every glance means romantic interest? Not always. Sometimes it's simply curiosity, respect, or admiration. But consistent eye contact from strangers often signals that your presence naturally stands out. Jung would connect this to the archetypal energy you carry. Some people radiate strength, mystery, or warmth. That energy pulls attention without you even trying. Sign number 4. People open up to you easily. Another unexpected sign of attractiveness, people feel comfortable confiding in you. Maybe you've noticed that strangers share personal stories within minutes of meeting you, or friends tell you things they normally wouldn't say. This isn't random. It's magnetic. True attractiveness often makes others feel safe. They're drawn not just to your looks, but to your energy, empathy, and presence. Example. You're at a party and instead of small talk, someone dives into a deep conversation with you about their struggles at work or dreams for the future. That's attraction. It's trust disguised as openness. From a Jungian angle, this relates to the archetype of the wise guide or healer. If people see you as someone who can hold their vulnerability, it means your attractiveness extends beyond the surface. It touches their psyche. Sign number 6. People tease you in a friendly way. This one might surprise you. If people often tease, joke, or playfully challenge you, it might actually mean they're drawn to you. Teasing, when lighthearted, is a way people test connection. It's a safe way of saying, I notice you. I like engaging with you. Think back. Have coworkers teased you about being too quiet or always on time? Have friends joked about your habits? Instead of annoyance, consider that this is a subtle acknowledgement of your presence and attractiveness. In psychological terms, play is a form of bonding. When people are attracted to you, platonically or romantically, they often seek excuses to interact, and teasing is one of the oldest methods in the book. Sign number 7. People are curious about your relationship status. Here's a big one. If people often hint, ask, or joke about whether you're single, it's because they sense something attractive about you. Sometimes the question is direct. So, are you seeing someone? Other times it's more playful, like, I bet you have someone waiting for you at home, right? Either way, curiosity about your relationship status is rarely random. People don't ask unless they see you as a potential partner or know others might. From a Jungian perspective, this taps into the anima-animus archetype, the inner image of the ideal partner. If you remind someone of that inner image, you naturally spark curiosity about your availability. Sign number 7. You're rarely ignored in group settings. Have you ever noticed that in group conversations, people look at you when you speak, or even when you're silent? Being heard and acknowledged is a strong sign of attractiveness. It doesn't mean you dominate the room, but your presence naturally demands respect. Example, you might say something simple like, I think we should try this restaurant. And suddenly, everyone considers your suggestion seriously. That's not just influence. That's subtle attraction at work. This links back to Jung's idea of the self, the integrated personality that others sense as whole and authentic. When you project self-assurance, even unconsciously, people lean toward you. So far, we've covered 7 powerful but often overlooked signs of attractiveness. People remember you more than you expect. People copy your behavior. Strangers make eye contact with you. People open up to you easily. People tease you playfully. People are curious about your relationship status. And you're rarely ignored in group settings. But we're only halfway there. In the next part, we'll go deeper into more subtle psychological and behavioral signs that prove attractiveness isn't about fitting beauty standards. It's about presence, energy, and authenticity. Sign 8. You make people nervous in a good way. Here's a sign many attractive people completely overlook. Sometimes others act a little nervous around you. Maybe someone stumbles over their words when talking to you, laughs awkwardly, or avoids eye contact at first. You might misinterpret this as disinterest, but in reality, it's often the opposite. Nervousness can mean someone feels your presence strongly. They don't want to mess up in front of you, which is why their behavior seems a little off. Everyday example. A coworker is perfectly confident with everyone else, but when you walk into the room, they suddenly seem shy or overly polite. That's not them being distant, it's them feeling your impact. From Jung's perspective, this connects to the shadow, the parts of ourselves we're not fully conscious of. Sometimes your attractiveness awakens something in others they didn't expect, like admiration or desire. That inner tension shows up as nervous behavior. Sign 9. You receive compliments on random things. Not every compliment is about looks. In fact, one of the strongest signs of deep attractiveness is when people compliment you on unexpected details. I love the way you explain things. You have such a calming presence. Your laugh is so contagious. These kinds of comments show that your appeal goes beyond appearance. People notice your energy, your style, even the way you make them feel. Example, a friend might say, "You always make everyone feel included," and you brush it off, thinking it's just kindness. But that's attraction. It means you carry qualities people admire and are drawn to. Carl Jung believed in the power of the archetypal image, and compliments often reveal how people see you archetypically. Maybe you're seen as the nurturing figure, the wise guide, or the charismatic leader. When people point these things out, it's not random. It's attraction at a deeper level. Sign 11. You naturally attract help or support. Have you noticed that people go out of their way to help you, sometimes without you even asking? Maybe a stranger holds the door longer than usual, a colleague volunteers to help with your project, or someone offers you advice out of the blue. This doesn't happen randomly. Attraction creates a subtle motivation in people to stay connected with you. Helping is one way they maintain that connection. Everyday example. You mentioned struggling with moving furniture, and suddenly 3 friends are volunteering to show up with their car. That eagerness reveals that they enjoy being around you. It's not just about kindness, it's attraction in action. Psychologically, this connects with the collective unconscious. Jung believed we're all linked by deep patterns of human connection. When you're attractive, authentic, alive, and present, you unconsciously inspire others to support and nurture you. Sign 12. People value your silence as much as your words. This is one of the most profound signs of attractiveness. In a group, some people feel pressure to always fill the silence with words. But truly attractive people, they don't need to. Their silence alone feels meaningful. Example, you're sitting quietly at dinner, and someone suddenly says, "What do you think?" Even though you weren't part of the conversation. That's because your opinion holds weight. People value your presence, whether or not you speak. This goes back to Jung's reflections on presence and individuation. An individuated person, someone who has embraced both their light and their shadow, doesn't need to constantly perform. Their authenticity speaks louder than words. And that's the essence of attraction. When just being yourself, quiet, thoughtful, present, is enough to draw people in. Putting it all together. So now we've gone through all 12 signs of attractiveness that you might overlook. People remember you more than you expect. People copy your behavior. Strangers make eye contact with you. People open up to you easily. People tease you in a friendly way. You're curious about their relationship status. You're rarely ignored in group settings. You make people nervous in a good way. You receive compliments on random things. You draw both admiration and criticism. You naturally attract help or support. People value your silence as much as your words. Analytical and cultural comparison. Now, let's step back for a second. Why do these signs matter? Because modern culture often defines attractiveness too narrowly, through beauty filters, fitness goals, or expensive style. But psychology, and especially Jung's insights, remind us that real attractiveness is multidimensional. In many cultures, attractiveness isn't about looking perfect. In Japan, there's the concept of wabi-sabi, the beauty of imperfection and authenticity. In ancient Greece, beauty was linked to harmony and inner character, not just external features. And Jung's perspective adds yet another layer. Attraction is not about shallow appearances, but about archetypes, presence, and energy. When you live authentically, embracing your individuality, you naturally radiate magnetism. This explains why some people who don't match standard beauty are still captivating. Their attractiveness comes from confidence, empathy, and authenticity, the qualities that truly linger in people's hearts and minds. Transition to final part. So here's the truth. You might already be far more attractive than you realize, but recognizing it is the first step to embracing it. In the final part of this video, we'll take these 12 signs and dive deeper into what they mean for your self-image, your relationships, and your journey of individuation. We'll explore how to stop doubting yourself and start embracing the magnetism that's already within you. Because the real secret is this: attractiveness isn't something you chase, it's something you embody when you're fully yourself. Why we struggle to believe we're attractive. Before we tie everything together, let's talk about something very real. Why so many people overlook their own attractiveness. Most of us grew up in a world filled with comparison. We look at social media, magazines, or even our peers, and we measure ourselves against impossible standards. If you don't look like the movie star, influencer, or model, it's easy to think, I'm not attractive. But Jung would remind us that attractiveness is not just about physical appearance. It's about energy, archetypes, and authenticity. Here's the paradox. The most magnetic people in history weren't always the most conventionally beautiful. Think of figures like Socrates, Frida Kahlo, or even modern personalities who captivate through their charisma, their passion, and their presence. So why do we miss our own attractiveness? Because we look for it in the wrong places. Instead of noticing how people react to us, we compare ourselves to external ideals. Attractiveness as an archetype. Jung introduced the idea of archetypes, universal patterns that live in the collective unconscious. And guess what? Attractiveness is tied to these archetypes. When you're attractive, you often embody one or more of these archetypes. The lover, radiating warmth, passion, and presence. The sage, drawing people in with wisdom and clarity. The rebel, attracting through uniqueness and defiance of norms. The caregiver, magnetizing others with empathy and kindness. These archetypes explain why attractiveness shows up in so many different forms. You don't need to fit one mold. Your attractiveness may come through your empathy, your humor, your insight, or your quiet strength. But here's something we don't always talk about. Attractiveness also has a shadow side. If you're attractive, you may face jealousy, criticism, or projection from others. Remember sign 10? When people admire you and criticize you at the same time? That's the shadow in action. Jung believed that when people feel drawn to qualities they don't yet own in themselves, they project them onto others. So if you're confident, someone insecure may project their envy as a dislike. If you're empathetic, someone cold may dismiss you as too sensitive. Recognizing this helps you understand that not all negative reactions are about you. Sometimes they're about what you awaken in others. Everyday example of hidden attractiveness. Let's bring this into something simple and relatable. Imagine you're at a party. You're not the loudest or the most glamorous person in the room, but throughout the evening, you notice people keep drifting toward you. Someone asks about your opinion, another person sits next to you quietly, and a third person starts laughing at your jokes even if they're not that funny. You might think, oh, they're just being polite. But in reality, these are subtle signs of attraction. Your presence is magnetic in ways you might not even realize. This is exactly why many people never believe they're attractive, because they think attraction always looks dramatic, obvious, or loud. But often, it's found in the quiet, consistent ways people gravitate toward you. Attractiveness and individuation. Now let's bring this back to one of Jung's most powerful ideas, individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming your truest self, embracing your strengths, your flaws, your light, and your shadow. And here's the connection. The more individuated you become, the more attractive you naturally are. Why? Because people are drawn to authenticity. When you're not pretending, when you're not wearing masks, when you're living as your whole self, you radiate a kind of presence that others feel deeply. This means that real attractiveness isn't about chasing approval. It's about becoming so aligned with who you are that you naturally shine. Cultural comparison. How we misunderstand attraction. Modern culture often reduces attraction to one thing, physical beauty. But if we look across cultures and history, we find a much richer story. In many indigenous cultures, attractiveness was tied to wisdom, courage, or generosity, not appearance. In ancient philosophy, beauty was connected to harmony, balance, and the good life. In Eastern traditions, presence and energy, your inner calm or vitality were seen as highly attractive qualities. When you see attraction through these wider lenses, you realize you may already carry far more of it than you ever believed. Personal reflection. If I'm being honest, I've struggled with this myself. There were times in my life when I thought I wasn't attractive because I didn't fit a certain image. But later, I realized people valued me for other things: my perspective, my calm energy, my ability to listen. And that was a game changer. It showed me that attractiveness isn't something you earn by fitting in. It's something you embody when you lean into who you really are. So if you've ever doubted yourself, I want you to pause and think about this. Maybe the very qualities you downplay, your silence, your empathy, your authenticity, are the exact things that make you magnetic. So let's wrap this up. We've explored 12 signs that you're attractive, even if you don't believe it. People remember you more than you expect. People copy your behavior. Strangers make eye contact with you. People open up to you easily. You tease you in a friendly way. People are curious about your relationship status. You're rarely ignored in group settings. You make people nervous in a good way. You receive compliments on random things. You draw both admiration and criticism. You naturally attract help or support. People value your silence as much as your words. At the heart of it, Jung's psychology teaches us that attractiveness is not just surface level. It's a reflection of authenticity, archetypes, and individuation. And here's the secret. You don't have to become attractive. You already are. You just need to recognize it, embrace it, and let it shine through without apology. So let me ask you, which of these 12 signs have you noticed in your own life but maybe brushed off as nothing? Comment below and share your thoughts. I'd love to hear your experiences. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future deep dives into psychology, Carl Jung, and the hidden truths of human nature. Because remember, the world already sees your attractiveness. Now it's time for you to see it too.